Alright, what's good y'all? Soul here, and welcome back to my story mode. So with it now being October, we do have a little bit of time before we finally enter 2025, which could be a very different era not only for Pokemon but for Nintendo in general. Recently I made a video asking if the general era of Pokemon on the Switch was a good era or a not so good era. Most of you guys made it very clear. It was either a very mixed bag of an era or it wasn't very good at all. It's unfortunate, but when you really look at the history of everything that we got on the Nintendo Switch when it comes to Pokemon, it is a little bit of a mess, and there's really no denying that. However, with the Switch 2 on its way, there is a potential brand new horizon, something new just dawning, waiting for us. And obviously, we would want them to take every opportunity possible to make this franchise the best it can be. And so, with all of that being said, I have made a small little list here regarding everything that I would like to see happen for the Pokemon franchise on this brand new Nintendo Switch successor. You guys know me, I like to dream a lot, and if I see a shooting star, you know damn well I'm finna make a little bit of a wish. So I guess you can kind of look at this as my potential wish list for the next coming years of Pokemon after we get this new Nintendo console. And so with that, you guys already know the drill. Go ahead, grab your snack or maybe your full course meal. Maybe you want to get a thing of ramen and slather that sucker in some mayo. And let's talk about some things that I would love to see going into this new era of Pokemon on the Switch 2. Right off the bat here, the first thing that we need to acknowledge are things that still need to be ported. When we were first introduced to Nintendo Switch Online, it was kind of a mixed bag for a lot of people because, for years we had gone for so long with Nintendo without paying for a subscription to play online. Even though it was still the cheapest option out of PlayStation and Xbox, we were still a little disappointed. However, they did offer a couple of perks that made it at least a little more bearable to swallow. One of those perks being the ability to be able to play old games, very classic games, right from your Switch. Over the course of these last 7 years, they've been dropping a bunch of different titles for us to indulge in, stemming from the classic NES to the Super NES, all the way up into the Game Boy era. At this point in time, not only do we have access to titles from the Nintendo 64, but also the Sega Genesis. So, long story short, we have an official and very legal way to play all of these classic games. When we first got the announcement that we were getting access to pretty much any of these things, we thought, oh man, eventually they're gonna get to Game Boy games and Pokemon is going to be a shoo-in. We have a lot of different classic games from the Pokemon era, specifically generations 1 through 3, that we would be able to play on our Switch finally. That would be amazing. However though, as you can see, all of these years later, and for some reason, we still don't have that at all. How did this happen? You cannot sit there and tell me that the only games that we really have to play on NSO is Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2 for whatever reason. Like, cool, those are games people wanted, but where is everything else? So yeah, obviously my first wish is to finally get generations 1 through 3, specifically the originals, and obviously maybe the remakes for Fire Red and Leaf Green at the very least, available on NSO. That is not all that crazy of a request. I really don't think that it is. Especially because you guys are so very clearly against pirating. You guys don't want people pirating your stuff, your games, or anything like that. Fine, make the games available to play some way. If you want to give us a legal way to play the games, then we'll play them those legal ways. But until further notice, unless I want to pay an absurd amount of money to get Pokemon Emerald somewhere for who knows how much, what else am I gonna do? Yeah, it's about time we get some actual legal ways to be able to play these games in a modern era. It's been way too long. In a similar vein, of course, I would like for them to finally add the Nintendo DS to their library for Nintendo Switch Online. And with that, obviously, I would want access, legal access, to the original Diamond, Platinum, and Pearl, as well as the remakes for Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and then on top of that, Generation 5, Parts 1 and 2. Now, I could see a couple of arguments as to why this probably wouldn't or shouldn't happen. In the case of Generation 4, particularly Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, that would render Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl kind of obsolete. Why would one go out of their way to purchase Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl if the originals are available on NSO? Well, to that first argument, I say, I mean, they probably should anyway, because Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl were straight dog water. But besides that, those games aren't really making them that much more money anyways. A little bit of a dwindle in sales for those games would be practically nothing in the grand scheme of what they've already made from those titles. If there's anybody purchasing a brand new Pokemon game this day and age, it's most likely, as far as the mainline games are concerned, Legends Arceus, Scarlet and Violet, maybe Sword and Shield. Not a lot of people are going out of their way anymore to purchase Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Anybody that was going to get it basically already has it. And then of course, a similar argument could be made for the future. If by chance they are in the inevitable development cycle for the remakes for Pokemon Black and White, why in the world would they go out of their way to port the originals when they have a remake on the way? Well, for 3 reasons. Number 1, if you want people to play these games legally, why not make them accessible, like I just said? Number 2, if they are making remakes, they are most likely making remakes for the original Pokemon Black and White. Most likely not Black 2 and White 2. There is absolutely no reason on earth as to why the first ever sequels to mainline games should not be available to play somewhere legally. And they've made it very clear that we are never going to see Pokemon Emerald, Pokemon Platinum ever again, so there's no reason to believe that we will ever see remakes or updated versions of Pokemon Black 2 and White 2 either. Which brings me again back to my original point. If you guys aren't planning to do anything else with that, the least we could do is get those games legally. That's all I'm saying. And reason number 3, you should never have to be worried about your remakes not doing well if the originals are available, if the remakes are actually made with love, care, and are actually superior or at least different from the originals. The reason that people were so upset with Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, something that we've talked about a million times already, is because they are simply too close to the originals and not worth the full $60 for somebody that has already played those. For most people that grew up with those games, they didn't do anything different enough to justify that purchase, which is why nobody was happy with that outcome. Yeah, sure, the Underground was a nice big addition to make it so that we could have access to like a lot of different original Pokemon from generations 1 to 4. And yeah, not having mandatory HMs is always going to be a beautiful thing. However, that cannot be the only things that these games offer. So, simply put, you want the Black and White remakes to succeed and also not have to worry about the possibility of nobody getting it because we have access to the original Black and White on NSO? Hey, make the game different enough. Give us a mixed and modified Pokédex with Pokemon that wouldn't usually be in that region from the originals. Give us a gimmick from another region that makes it so that battles are just generally a little more interesting than how they were in the original. Which, by the way, if I could just remind everybody for a second, is something that they low-key teased in our previous DLC. Terrestrialization is technically in Unova with the DLC. They did not need to put Blueberry Academy in Unova, but they did. They wouldn't do that for nothing. Do those couple of things there, add in some actual quality of life features, and of course, update the graphics a lot and make it 3D or whatever you plan to do with that, give it a little bit of a style, and wow, all of a sudden, we all have a reason to purchase these remakes because they are different enough from the originals. And now, with all of that being said, we can justify the existence of both the original Pokemon Black and White on NSO, as well as the inevitable remakes that are going to be coming to us in a couple of years. Boom, bada, bing, done. It's so obvious, guys. Come on, just lock in for 5 minutes and I promise you guys you will be even more successful than you already are, which you don't need to be, but you could be. Wow, we have been on this topic for way too long already. Anyway, the last thing here is just simply ports specifically for the Pokepark series. There has been and never will be any reason as to why these games are going to be lost to time, stuck on the Wii forever. That is absolutely absurd to me as to why these games aren't available anywhere else. Crazy. Pokepark is easily one of the best spin-off series Pokemon has ever done, and it's a damn shame that we can't play that game legally in a proper way unless we own a Wii, which, I mean, I know a lot of people do, but there's a lot of different situations in which maybe somebody's Wii broke or maybe their disc disk broke or whatever. Point is, for whatever reason, it's weird that PokePark isn't available. And those are some of my favorite spin-off games. They have absolutely no reason to still be stuck on the Wii. We just got Epic Mickey rebrushed a couple of weeks ago, by the way, so keep that in mind. But anyway, that just about does it for the port stuff. Now, we need to talk about the spin-off game stuff going forward. First and foremost, please God, new spin-off games still need to happen. I'm going to talk about this in a very near future video. However, the existence and the potential success of the TCG app scares me beyond belief. The potential success of a game like that would put an absurd amount of money in their pockets. And them getting money from something like that would render real spin-off games virtually almost damn near pointless. And I'm telling you guys right now, I will be beside myself and I will genuinely crash out if you sit there and tell me that this game gets so much money in their pocket that we never ever see a real spin-off game again. I'm going to be beyond livid. This conversation is upsetting me. As I've made very clear in my previous few videos, I want more Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. I want another Pokken Tournament. I want more Pokemon Rangers. And like I just said a moment ago, I want more PokePark. I do not think that those games deserve to be sacrificed solely because those games only put 2 million in your pocket as opposed to the main games, which put about 20 million in your pocket, and then your apps, which put apparently hundreds of millions in your pocket, which I get it, but it doesn't make it any better. I don't have much of an argument here because logically, why would they? But I do want more spin-off games. I think it's as simple as that. And then very specifically, this is something that we talked about ages ago. I'm talking years ago, before the remakes even came out, I think. But I was asking for a game, specifically something along the lines of a Pokemon Stadium 3 or potentially a Pokemon Battle Revolution 2. We need a proper Pokemon game that allows us to not only utilize all of the Pokemon that we've amassed over the years, because that's kind of the purpose of Pokemon Home, they don't deserve to just sit in there and rot, but also something that allows us to utilize all of the mechanics and gimmicks that we've come to know over the years and truly put everything that we know about this franchise to the test in one ultimate battle royale based video game. I don't think that would be that crazy. Not battle royale, by the way. Obviously it would be a turn-based whatever. You get what I'm getting at. A Pokemon game with the sole purpose of battling with whatever we have in Pokemon Home is potentially one of the most brilliant things you could do. A game where I can use Gigantamax against a Mega Evolved Pokemon or a Z-move against a Terrestrialized Pokemon, it's not that ridiculous to ask for. The anime could do it, we should be able to do it in our games as well. And no, that would not at all affect future game gimmicks because those games would solely be focused on their own unique gimmick in that game, and people would still battle with those gimmicks and those specific new Pokemon. It's not that ridiculous of an ask. I really don't think that it is. And then lastly, we move on to the mainline games. Now, there's only a good couple of things here. All of these are things that we've mentioned before, but I think that they're worth mentioning. Obviously, like anybody else, I would really love it if they were able to actually implement stronger graphical and mechanical capabilities to be able to be utilized. It's one thing for a game to be struggling every now and again with a couple of frame dips and, a couple of cuts and glitches here and there. Fine, whatever, no game is ever going to be perfect. The game shouldn't struggle to just simply exist. That is absolutely ridiculous. And obviously, there is absolutely no reason as to why any game in 2025 should have graphics and backgrounds that have so much pop in and look so ugly that it's downright distracting. We should at the very least be able to move on from something like that, especially when we're paying full AAA price from one of the most rich companies on this freaking planet. You guys can invest more in your team and more time in those games to be able to allow them to fix that kind of thing. Especially on a new console that is more than going to have the power and ability to be able to handle that kind of thing. And I guess in the same vein, I need y'all to really lock in and give us actual buildings and environments that blend together naturally. If you guys are gonna make open world games from now on, you guys have to have learned from Scarlet and Violet that a lot of those things don't blend together very naturally when you guys did it the way that you did it. And it was very awkward to look at, let alone play. Just putting that out there. It's not too much of an ask to actually walk into a city that has an actual road and things like that leading into it, and then also being able to enter that city, go into different buildings, and actually have NPCs in there sitting, chilling, doing their thing, living their own lives. That's how you make a world feel alive. This is not rocket science, and this is not something that I haven't said before, so I'm just emphasizing it again. Lock in. I guess that's really all I'm saying there. And then last but not least, I guess more so on the gameplay side of things, I guess I just, again, something I've talked about beforehand, I want more emphasis on player choice. If the player character is customizable in any way, especially a game that's making it so that it is supposed to be your journey, allow them to go all out. Let them decorate that character however they want. Hats, earrings, makeup, different shirts, different overcoats and things like that, shoes, pants, socks, everything. After Pokemon Sword and Shield, where we were at the height of it, we took way too many steps back afterward, and that is absolutely unacceptable. We need to jump right back to where we were and go above and beyond with that. Absolutely no reason as to why that didn't happen. And here's something crazy that kind of blends into that too. Why not allow us to decorate our Pokemon a little bit too? Why can't I give my Luxray a scarf or something like that to make it really feel like it's mine? You know, I feel like that's a weird limitation to have. Yeah, we have a lot of Pokemon available in these games now, but you're not even using the full dex. If you give us a genuine reason as to why you're limiting the amount of Pokemon that are going to be in these games, at the very least, make it a good reason, like allowing us to decorate these Pokemon, or at least customize them a little bit to make them feel more us. I don't think that's crazy. After that, of course, the actual power of decision making having an actual effect on the game and what happens with different things, whether it be mainline stuff, side quests, or whatever. I don't see a reason as to why we still have a silent protagonist if we only have the illusion of choice, and in reality, we're all following the exact same path, saying the exact same things, and forging the exact same relationships with every single one of these characters that you introduce to us. I don't know. I feel like there's more we could do with that. And then lastly, of course, and this is something that I will always talk about and never be able to stress enough going forward for any Pokemon game, mainline or whatever otherwise, side quests. They are so incredibly critical to world building. Yeah, one could say that it's fun enough to explore the world as is, looking for all of these different Pokemon to add to your Pokédex, but another reason could be to get to know other characters, get to know this world a little bit, and just fill things out a little bit more. Get us invested and, you know, be able to spend more time in these worlds. This is an RPG, for Christ's sakes. Why are there not side quests? I feel like I'm crazy asking for that, but in reality, why am I? I don't think it's that big of a request to want you guys to fill your worlds out a little bit more with genuine side quests. Just putting that out there. But with that being said, that just about does it for all the wishes that I have going into the future of Pokemon for the Switch successor. In reality, while I do hope and pray for a lot of these things to happen, I expect maybe one or two, maybe not even that, because there's just so many reasons to go against everything that I've talked about in their eyes, and it's so frustrating to see that. But you know, all I can do is hope and wish and just pray that whatever happens, this next era for Pokemon is superior to whatever went down with the Switch one. I enjoyed my time with a majority of the games that were available on the Switch, but my heart knows that they could lock in and do so much more and so much better and put in so much more effort going forward. And they have proven that to us by giving us little bits and bobs and dropping little hints and pieces to things that we could see glimpses of that could have been so much better. And I just hope that they really capitalize on that going forward so that we could enter a brand new, much better future for Pokemon. But hey, you know what? Maybe that's just me. So that just about wraps it up for this one. I want to leave. I want to go right now because Sparking Zero has been waiting for me for an hour now. I have not touched it yet, and I have been waiting, and I decided for whatever reason this month was the month that I was going to be a little bit more responsible and get you guys actual videos on a regular basis. I don't think that that's going to happen if we're being so completely honest, but I will do my damnedest in between playing Sparking Zero and all the other games that are going to be coming out this month because October is packed to the brim. But moving on from that, the mic is getting passed over in your direction, and I want you guys to tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below. Do you think that we could do much better going forward with the future of Pokemon? Do you think that the Switch 2 has a chance to really redeem Pokemon for everything that went down with this previous era? Or do you think that we're gonna have a very similar situation? Pokemon's never ever gonna learn from their mistakes, and we are just going to be doomed to be stuck in this cycle of mediocrity with our franchise forever? Tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I am always gonna be down there with you guys. But with that, it does appear to be skedaddle. I'm getting out of here. Thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor for dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this here. And with that, I'm Gonzo. Thanks again. Hope you enjoyed. I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor, taking good care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye. Goodbye.